I'm kind of hoping take 90 of this video is better than the first 97 that I've managed to do. So good afternoon, it's Mark here again. And in this video I'm going to talk to you about the fifth step to ethical power. So we are crossing into the second half, if you like, of the steps, because there are 9 in total. And step 5 is one of the key steps, perhaps one of the most important ones on this road, because it's about getting clear what matters to you in your life. Now, what do I mean by that? There are really two things that I mean by that. The first one is about getting clear what your life purpose is. What are you here for? And the second part is around your values. What's important to me? So I'll talk a little bit about those two for the moment. Getting clear about your life purpose. Now, some of you may have a religious belief or a spiritual belief, in which case you may well believe that you're here for a reason. You're here to do something. And some of your life challenge is about working out what that something actually is. That would be a life purpose. What am I here to do? What do I want to look back on at the end of my life and recognise that I've done and achieved? That's the sort of thing that we're talking about when we talk about life purpose. Which bit of the horizon am I aiming for? Would be my life purpose. If you're not religious or spiritual, then questions like, what do I enjoy doing? What do I get a kick out of doing? What am I passionate about? What are the things that other people say I'm good at? Will give you some information about your purpose in life. And you can work out a purpose from that information. So that's the first of the two elements. The second one is our value system. And our values are what's important to us. They matter to us. They're like our principles by how we live and perhaps how we want other people to live too. And if that's the case, we'll notice it when people are and are not doing that. Values are almost like the compass that we use to navigate through life. And I'll tell you a way of working out how to get to your values. And this is just one way. There are many different ways of doing it. And it's to think about people you admire and the characteristics, the qualities that they display that you actually admire. And that will often give you a pretty good steer on what your important values are. And we all have different values and they will mean different things to us. So in my case, to give you an example, one person that I idolize is Nelson Mandela. And when I thought about why, and there are many reasons why, but the one that really came to me as the most important was his belief in humanity and his incurable optimism about life. So here's a guy who spent 30 years in prison. He had the best years of his life taken away by a repressive regime that believes that he wasn't much better than an animal. And yet, when he was released from prison, he embraced the people that had him in prison. And he was an incredibly optimistic character, expecting things to turn out for the best. And that's one of the things I admire about him. He sees the good in others, and he's an optimist. And what I worked out from that was that I had a value around optimism. And optimism to me means seeing the good in other things and other people, and hoping or expecting that things will turn out for the best. Seeing the glass half full rather than half empty. So that's a value that's important to me. I notice when it's not being honoured by other people, because when I'm in the company of very negative people, I don't feel very good. And that tells me I've got a really strong value in that area as well. And if you do that sort of exercise for yourself, you'll start to work out some of your core values. Being clear about what's important to you in your life then, your purpose, your values, why does that matter when it comes to power? Well, very simply, if you are clear what matters, and things happen around you, as life tends to, you can make some decisions about what you do about it. So let's say you're in work and someone fails to consult you about something. Okay, now you might be a bit irritated by that. You might feel more strongly. But you can ask yourself the question then, okay, how important is this to me? Does it matter? If it does, you might want to take stronger action about the fact you haven't been consulted. But if it doesn't, you've got the option of just saying, okay, I'll let that go. This isn't a battle that's worth fighting because actually it's not worth it to me. So it gives you the clarity about your own life, gives you an informed decision to make about where you use your power, where you focus your power, and where you choose not to. And it is as simple as that. If you're not clear about your own life direction, about your own purpose, and about your own values, then all you will ever do is react to what other people do. And you might not react from a position of being informed. You'll react from a position of just whatever your reaction happens to be. And some people will tend to be, will always fight back. Some people will always submit and comply. So it goes back to, in one of our previous videos, talking about fight and flight and freeze. We will default to whatever our natural stance is if we're not clear what matters to us. When we get clear what matters to us, we can step into the government of our own life. We can take responsibility for what we do. If we're not clear, all we will ever really be doing is being in opposition in our life. And we will be in opposition to whatever else is out there and whatever else is going on, rather than doing our thing in our direction. So if things matter to us, we can make decisions to use our power and do something about it. In the next couple of steps to ethical power, I'll talk to you about what are some of the things you can then do when you realise that this situation over here does matter. But for the moment, I will sign off for another week. Hope you have a good weekend, and I look forward again to talking to you next week on the 6 steps to ethical power. But just for a recap on the 5th one, it is about getting clear what matters to you in your life so that you can make informed choices on where to use your power. And for me, Mark Eyre, I wish you a good afternoon. Bye for now.